Hi, Ardelia Ince, and
Hi.
welcome.
Hi. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have me here. Thank you very much.
Yes, and for those who don't know who I am, my name is Ingrid Nilsson, and I interview mediums. So somebody suggested that I should interview you. So here we are. And before, I believed you lived in England, but you live in Germany.
No, actually, I came over here to Germany via the military back in 1989 from Virginia. And but I have a lot of people that, of course, I converse with in England. So that's why a lot of people in England know me. But I'm
Okay.
originally from Virginia. I'm originally from Virginia.
So
Which
you haven't lived in England then?
I haven't lived in England. No, no, I haven't. I haven't lived in England.
Yeah. Today I would like to know all about how you work. You're a medium.
Yes, I am. I consider myself a spiritual medium, a psychic medium. And yes, I work with those facets of the spiritual world. And I also do trance, and I do a little bit of physical mediumship as well.
And for people who don't know what the difference is, so what is the difference?
You mean between a psychic and a medium?
Yeah, and trance. For some people don't know the difference. They think maybe it's all the same, but it's not.
No, 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 it's not. Well, I'm going to also add to it that I also teach meditation. I've been meditating since I was 13, 14 years old. That's when I started to go into meditation and was able to go into different levels, deeper levels of meditation, somehow, I would say, jump into different dimensions. It all happened a little bit earlier. But for me, a psychic. Being psychic means that I can read the energy around you. I can read the energy around you. I don't do too much from the past, present, and future. I think that was like way back in the day when everyone just concentrated on past, present, and future. But I read the energy around you, so I can um, I would say describe things that are around you in your energy that I see. But I also use the psychic world. I use this ability also with the spirit team. That is the way that I grew up learning to increase my abilities. I think it's important for people to know that different cultures
Mm-hmm.
experiment with different types of ways to connect with the spirit world, and also using tools, as you can see, with tarot cards. I've been using tarot cards since I was 14 years old.
I thought it was books, but it's tarot cards.
There are many, many, many tarot cards, many, many tarot cards. I do use up twos, and I have no problem using twos, and I also teach with tools. I don't need the tools, but I also it's nice to see how people can develop their abilities using certain tools. But that's what for me a psychic is, and what a medium is. I'm speaking to those that have crossed over into the spirit world. So when I bring forth that information, it's mainly about that person, that loved one that has crossed over um into the spiritual dimension. But they also can bring in information of what they see or observe the person doing in the now, in the now. So I work a little bit different. I know different parts of the country, they'll do it one way or another way, but the way I grew up learning to do it, I know that from my experiences that the spirit world can also come through and give me information of what that person was doing. And most of the time it's so evidential, there is no possible way that I would even know this being a psychic.
No.
It's that evidential, and that's why I know it's from the spirit world.
Mm.
And
Virginia, you're talking about how you learned. Where is it from your family or?
it's from my family. It's from my family. My both of my grandmothers were ministers. Bless their heart. They both were crossed over. So I grew up in the church. Grew up in the Baptist church, Christian church. Father was a Mormon. Then he turned into Seventh-day Adventist. both of my grandmas were Pentecostal ministers. So if you know anything about Pentecostal ministry, you're in the church all the time. In the summertime, my mother would send my sister and I to visit my grandmother for the weekend. I mean, for the summer, and it's church all day. You're in church all day with Pentecostal. It's the type of religion, you know, where they have the Holy Ghost and you have the band, you have everything. And so I would say my mother has the same ability, but she's never used this ability. She mainly used it for herself throughout her lifetime. She's 74, and she still has physical activity around her. She still sees spirits. She still hears them. So it is in my family, and I would say it's in my family on both sides of my family. My father's side, I would say, from the West Indies, they're all Catholics, so they are pretty religious, and there's a lot of healing going on also in that area as well. But my abilities, I first noticed them. I can't say that when I was 4, because it would be dishonest to tell you I know what I did when I was 4 years old. I don't remember that far back when I was 4 years old, but I know that when I was around 7, 8 years old, 6, 7, 8, I would lay in the bed at night and I would have colors, light blue fluorescent colors coming out of my hands, my feet, and I was able to leave my body. I was able to astral project and leave my body and go into the living room, go and walk down the hallway. I could walk outside and I could actually turn around and see my body. So I know that that was already occurring around 6 to 7 years old. And around that time also, I would also hear people walking around up and down the hallway in my room at night. It wasn't very pleasant for my parents. I don't think that they really paid attention to actually what was happening. Most of the time when usually a young child usually screams at night and say, oh, there's something under the bed in the closet. You say, oh, it's a bad dream. It's a nightmare. They give you a hug and a kiss, and then you go back to bed. They cut the lights back off, and that's it. But by me, it happened all night, every night. Every night I slept under the covers with it over my nose, where I almost suffocated sometimes because it was so much involvement. It was so much action going on in my room. So it's always been there with me, that I was able to hear the spirit world. I could hear the footsteps, and even today they walk around here, around in our residence at night. Sometimes I'll get up and I will run. I'm still, even though I'm a psychic medium, there are times that I still get up when I hear something or feel something moving around me or hear a whisper. I still, as an adult, I still do get up and run. But it started around that time. It started happening. 8 years old, around 8 and 9 years old, a friend of mine, she had a spirit board. And I have now 17, 18 spirit boards. So I'm very experienced in using spirit boards. And I know some spiritualists, they don't like to use spirit boards, or maybe there were bad rumors before, but I have a lot of spirit boards. I have a lot of...
When with spirit boards, do you bless them, or how do you, so you know what you're calling in?
I don't go in. First of all, I don't go in with that fear of blessing them, because it's just a piece of board. It's a malachite. It's the same, if you look at it the same way as if you're using a keyboard on your computer or laptop. There are also letters and numbers on the keyboard.
Wow.
And you can also still channel in some type of energy that would cause you to maybe, I mean, quite sure that people, you know, everyone has maybe type that maybe not so nice email, or type that not so nice chat to someone, text message, and then they thought about it afterwards, say, why did I really type this? Well, was it really the energy that was in your energy field that influenced you to type this, or was it actually coming from you? So now I do encourage people, when they're using the boards or learning to use the boards, say a prayer. I say a prayer. And I just say a prayer, and that's it. And then I use the boards, and then I will close the boards out. But I always like to get good information, good evidential information when I'm using the boards. Do use the boards. I use the boards a lot. I have a group of, I would say, beings that channel with me through the board. They're called the All. They've been with me my whole life, and sometimes they also channel without the board, and I could hear them in my ear, and I would go into a small trance. And so I know you wanted me to explain to the viewers about trance. Trance is just it's a deep conscious state for me. That's what I would call it. It's the same if I was in a state of mind where I was dancing to music. Your conscious slowly changes. Your consciousness slowly changes. So if you're doing anything that you're really not using that much energy, that's how I see a trance. So you can also get into a trance just by dancing to a certain music, and you sit there and you stand and you dance for 1, 2, 3 hours long, not even thinking about it. Time goes by, and you ask yourself afterwards, where did the time go? You were in a light trance the entire time. And so that's how I see it. I work with trance. I work with the chakras, with the energy of the chakras. There's certain techniques that I've used my entire life with trance, and I also implement those techniques into my teachings to the mentorees.
If I can just ask, you do trance, and you say you bring down, you say all? Is it like a consciousness, or?
There is a consciousness that comes through me all. They do come to me. I have a couple of guides. I have my guide, Elizabeth. She became known through Jonathan. I think that was last year, but she was always with me because I do get a lot of voices, a lot of different spirits that come through me, and they'll talk. And I have another guide, Albert. He comes through sometime, and when he comes through, he's starting now to speak a lot of French, and that'll kind of like trigger my consciousness a little bit. Well, I don't stay long down in trance because I'm being nosy. I want to see exactly what he's saying because I hear the words, and I do have another guy that comes through, Avi. He's Hindu. He showed himself many times. He's an Algori, if you know what Algori is from India. It's one of those, I would say, one of those type of religious Buddhists, I would say. And Algori, those are the ones that wear like the body ashes on their face.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yes, he's come to me many times, and he showed himself many times. And he's come with a lot of love, and he comes through and he speaks to me also. And I also have sometimes spirits that will come through. I call them passerbies. They will come through at night when I'm sleeping. So I do a lot of recording at night, ever so often when I'm sleeping. If I get that feeling where spirit will say, turn on the recorder before you go to bed. And I will actually turn it on.
I'm sorry, do you change your voice, or?
The voices do change, and I'm going to send you a couple of clips after we finish the interview, so that you can see, you can actually hear them. Yes, they do change their voices, and I've had one that came through last year. She spoke Spanish, and I had no idea what she was saying. And I asked all my Spanish friends, "What is this lady saying?" Nobody knew. And then I had to ask Jonathan, and he told me she was speaking an old dialect that nobody speaks anymore from hundreds of years ago. And I'm like, well, that really makes sense for a spirit to come through. How are they going to come through and converse with the people when no one's going to understand what they're saying? So
for people who don't know, because you're saying Jonathan, for the viewers who don't know, maybe you should explain who Jonathan is.
Yes, Jonathan the Hunter is a guide that I've been communicating with. He communicates through Elaine Thorpe. She's a wonderful trance medium, and I met her back in 2018. And both of them have really changed my life and how I have accepted myself with my spirituality, with my mediumship, and with my trance. Yeah. And he's a beautiful guide, and he's touched so many souls. Yeah. And if it wasn't for Elaine and Jonathan, I don't think that I would be at the level that I am now to trust myself to just come out in public and just be who I want to be without the both of them. So I really love working with both of them and taking on the advice of Jonathan and Elaine. So that's who them two are.
And it was actually Elaine who recommended me to speak to you.
I was surprised, yes, because Jonathan Our guide is always telling me it's time to go to public. It's time to go public. It's time to go public, Ardelia. What are you waiting? You should have been public a long time ago. And you have this, oh, should I go public? Am I really ready? It's really an inner struggle, a
Yeah.
challenge within myself to wonder, yeah, am I ready? Am I ready? And when you think about it, it's like we're never all the way ready. We're always going to be constantly learning as long as we're on this earth breathing. So I thought, okay, now or never, just go ahead and just come out. And so I would say next year in January, I am going to go more public.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of private readings at the moment. I do a lot of private readings, also do a lot of meditation classes with a lot of companies, with a lot of private companies with their employees in the evening time. So I do that a lot of chakra work. I do also work with water because the spirits, they show me themselves with water, in water. I couple of those photos on my Facebook page where they started showing up, I would say in December 2018. I was in my kitchen one night and I'm looking over by the sink. There was a cup, there was a glass of water on the counter, and I looked over, I'm like, there's a face staring at me. It was so clear. It was just staring at me, and I could see the eyes, and it was looking like piercing into my soul. I'm like, no, I know I'm not going crazy. This is like right after Christmas dinner. I had 1 or 2 glasses of wine, then I said my prayer before I'm going to go to bed, and I have this spirit, this face looking at me through the glass, and I told the spirit, wait right there, let me get my camera. And so I was lucky. Spirit was still there. When I came back, I took a couple of pictures, and this face was beautiful. And then the next night I did it again. Then I did it again. And they just kept showing me themselves and showing me themselves. And then the spirit told me in meditation, pray and we will come more. More of us will come when you pray. So what I would do is I would pray with my glass of water in my hand, pray and leave the glass on the table and wait until I hear someone tap on the glass. And I was hearing someone tap on the glass. You can actually hear the fingernails. They would tap on the glass. I said, okay, now it's time for me to get my camera, my mobile phone, and I'll start taking pictures. And they would just show up. They would just show up. So they do show up like this also. And I think it's just believing in them, because I don't really like to call them spirit. I like to call them spirit, I would say people, because they're just people without the physical body.
Yeah.
And so I welcome them. We have a lot of, I would say, visitors in our residence at night and during the daytime. And it's just a beautiful feeling knowing that we share, these two worlds can come together and share a beautiful experience. But that's how it all started with me. And then I would say about 13 or 14, I would see the neighbor next door. She would have in the next house, they would be on the porch. I'm like, what are they doing? We're playing cards. And I would go over there sometime, but couldn't really stay over there on the porch too long. We had to stay actually in the yard. And she would use playing cards, and she would have people coming in and out of her house. And I'm thinking, okay, the people coming in, they have dresses on. What are they doing? They're coming in. And I would just sometimes just watch her on the porch. She didn't mind me watching her on the porch. And then I took my playing cards, and then I just took my playing cards. We have Uno cards back then. And I would just lay them out and start talking, telling her things. She said, you're really good with the cards. And my mother, of course, we're very spiritual, so we're not going to have none of that in the house. Even though my mother is very psychic, and she has a lot of strong mediumship abilities. And then I just got into the cards. And then I could just, in high school, I would start reading cards at lunchtime. Cards at lunchtime and telling people what was going to happen and what happened. And then I just started collecting cards and cards and cards and cards and cards and cards. And that's how I became a fanatic with my cards. So cards.
I believe it's a good instrument, if you can say that, to use. But there are those people I've heard, they say it's the devil's work. And sometimes it's like bad, people talk badly about it. Maybe you haven't heard that?
No, I haven't met actually anyone that has questioned the use of cards. I explain to the people what I do, and usually the people come to me. They usually come to me by mouth. Someone said, hey, come to her, or I'll tell them, hey, this is what I do. And even the skeptics, I would pull a couple cards, and then I would work with them in the psychic level, and then let them know what's going on and around their energy, and they accept me. I used to have sometimes in the past where people would think, oh, because maybe the color of my skin, there was voodoo or witchcraft or something like this. But I always have to remember every culture has their own way of working with spirits. So I can never judge. I can't judge.
No.
I'm not here to judge anyone, how they work and how they do their work. And so I work in my healthy, I would say healthy vibrations. I keep myself physically also healthy, that I can work in the healthy vibration. And I've never had any indication from anyone that I caused them any type of fear.
No.
The cards, because I can take the cards, because I work also with the spirit team. So I can take a piece of paper and ask the spirit, well, my spirit team to tell me which card to put down. They'll show me the card. They'll show me the card clairvoyantly and tell me which one to write down. And I give a reading without even having the cards, if I want to read that way using the cards. And I've noticed that
it's your energy calling in it, really. It's your who uses the cards. You used your energy for calling them through the cards.
Yes. As soon as I touch the cards, as soon as I turn the first card over, usually the spirit team is here. And usually when I use the cards, I tell people, as they come to me for a spiritual session, because it's never just psychic, it's never just mediumship. Because as soon as I turn over the first card, one of their loved ones would come through, and usually have their loved ones stay with me, beside me, and they will also come in with input about what's going on. They'll describe themselves, and I receive that information, that evidence that this is your mother, or this is your father, this is your aunt or your friend, and they actually stand beside me while I'm giving the card reading. And so it's a mixture of card reading and mediumship all together, and the psychic work all together. I think I found that throughout the years, a lot of people are more comfortable if you're using the cards, instead of you just sitting there telling them, oh, this is happening in your life, this happens a couple of days ago, this happened last week, this happened. I think it makes sometimes people uncomfortable, because they don't know what you really know about them. And so, especially around friends and acquaintances, if you're sitting with them on a constant basis on the weekend, and if they know that you can just sit and have this pull in this energy around them and find that personal stuff, I think it hampers the relationship. It hampers the friendship relationship a lot. So I don't want to ever get into that situation where people are afraid of me, that they think that I know something, or they have a secret that I know, that I maybe found out just by sitting around them, because I don't think it would be fair. It wouldn't be fair to anyone to have these feelings.
No, I guess some people are a bit afraid of psychics and mediums, and
yes, but I've never really ran across anyone that is really that has showed any fear. I even do street readings occasionally. Street reading is what I'm saying, on the street. Or if I'm meeting someone on the street, on the street. I know a long time ago they said, oh, when the first batch, I would say, of mediums came out, there were a couple of popular mediums that were doing them, out in the public, on the street, walking up to people. I don't just walk up to people, but if I'm in the grocery store, because I work on a military base. So if I'm in a grocery store, and usually if I walk in a grocery store, I see usually lights. They're usually flickering lights that will flicker besides the people. I see them all the time, halos around people and lights. And that always tells me that there is a spirit around that person. And if I feel like that person is open, I will even walk up to them and let them know what I do, and ask them if they're open, that I can share with them a message from their loved ones. And they're always open. I do it many times. We go to maybe a bar on the weekend, and we have a glass of wine, or bistro. We have a glass of wine or something, and there might be somebody just sitting at a table, and I will walk up to them And I've never had an issue with someone telling me, go away, it's evil, it's negative. They've always been very open. I think it's the way you approach people with your energy, with the kind of loving spirit, let them know what it is that you do. And I think for me, I would say I would like to see more of this come back, because there's so many people right now with so much stress. They're so stressed. They have so much fear. They have so many questions. They've lost people in their families. And I tell my friends, oh, it's not just about the money and getting a client to come in, and schedule your payment, but we hear also the work and be a voice for spirit. That means that if I have their loved ones here and their loved ones have this message to give them, I'm going to pull them over and I'm going to give the message, because I'm working for the spirit world. It's not about me, it's about working for the spirit world. And that's very important. And I think if people erase these ideas that, oh, if I go out in the public and do it, maybe I've heard a lot before that the egos are there because you're videotaping. You don't have to videotape. I don't videotape anyone. I share with them this message from the spirit world. And I would never find it real or find it nice to videotape someone when they're crying or showing their emotions. I think that's very disrespectful. But to sit in the stand and give them a small 5, 6, 7, 10-minute reading at that moment when you touch their heart and touch their soul, the message from the spirit world. And I would really like to see more of that. More of people actually working from the heart, working from the spirit of love, to actually reach out and show people that we're not doing anything harmful. We're not coming with any type of fear of negativity, but we have these, I would say, abilities. I wouldn't say gifts, even though 1 Corinthians 12 talks about them as gifts, for the ones that read the Bible. Because I see gifts. It could be gifts. If you're a teacher, you have a gift to teach people. If you're a singer, you have a way to sing with your voice, to bring love into and harmonize. So everyone has a certain gift. So I just call them abilities, and I think it's okay to share with someone, because I always see it as spirits are the employers and I am the employee. I'm the judge. I'm only here to be their voice and to work for them. And that's my
lovely to hear. It's nice to hear it. But how is it to work in Germany? It's not so far from Sweden, but is it easy to be a medium there? You work not only as a medium.
Yes, I do have a day job. I do have a day job as a banker. And I keep being told by spirit, it's time to quit the job and just step out into the wild world of the spirit world and the work for us. And you have that little bit of edge. Am I ready? I will actually be ready one day. I say, okay, I'm just going to surrender completely. But I do love my job. I love working with numbers. I would say I'm half nerd. I'm half nerd during the daytime, because I love what I do. And I know that one of these days I'm going to wake up and my full-time calling is going to be there to say, okay, now it's time to just serve completely for spirit. I think right now with lockdowns back and forth, I don't want to also put pressure on anyone, with what's going on with the testing and all the politics and stuff. So I'm just moving through the energy. I'm just flowing through the energy with the flow, a certain flow, and just let it all just, when it's time for the cake to come out the oven, I always say, then it's time for it to come out the oven, and it's baked, and I can put the icing on it. But I do work. But I don't have a problem. I have not ran into any complications with anyone in Germany when I approach them and I tell them I'm a psychic medium and this is what I do. And everybody has been so open. I think it's the way you approach people. Someone tells me, hey, I'm open all the way. Then why not? I think that's very important. Even if when we go on vacations, we'll be on vacation, or maybe when I go to a bar at night, maybe to have a nightcap or a glass of wine or a glass of tea, a cup of tea or something. And I'll give sometimes a reading to someone. I'll walk up to someone, just give them a reading. And I turn around and the whole bar is crying. The whole bar is crying. And it's just that effect that you have because the spirit, and then next thing you know, the whole bar is talking about the spirit world. Even those that don't even know about the spirit world or the skeptics, you know. I've read for so many people, they don't remember my name because I say my name is Ardelia. I don't ask them their name. They don't ask me my name. We tell each other names, and they're all over Germany. So that my name is not important at that moment. What's important at that moment is for me to serve spirit and to bring through their loved ones. And that's all that's important to me at that moment. But I haven't had any problems anywhere in Germany, anywhere in the States, in the UK. I read for people in Japan. I read people in Asia. I read people in the islands. I've never had a problem with anyone saying or approaching me and saying, I'm afraid. You know, you come in with love. You come in, you open your heart with love. And I think that's very important for the work that we do, working and serving for the spirit world. That's very important.
But back to the other thing, you were speaking about the spirit board.
Yes.
How do you use that? What do you do?
I use it with the planchette.
With
a planchette. That's the round tool that you use, that you go across the board with the planchette.
Yeah.
And, usually for me, it doesn't take that long. I can use it with one hand. So I usually use it with one hand. My left hand, I lay my left hand on the planchette, and I use my right hand to write with. I don't have to put two hands or 2 4 fingers on the planchette. And I just allow, because I've been using the spirit board for so many years. You're talking about when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, where I wasn't supposed to use it. And then when I was 18 years old, and when I joined the military, then I was able to purchase my own Ouija board, spirit board, and didn't need any parents' permission to purchase one. And so I've always used it. So as soon as I touch it, they will start communicating, or another spirit will start communicating with me. Now, the energy does change when you're working with the spirit board. You can tell the energy in the room, the energy around you will change. Usually for me, when I'm using the board, if I bring it out the board, usually I would get a flow of energy that usually start on my shoulder, and you can feel it going down your shoulder. And it feels, when it gets to my fingers and my hand and fingers, it feels almost like it's not anymore my hand. It becomes the hand of the spirit world. So it's almost like they're overshadowing my whole arm and my hand and my fingers. And I just leave myself open, and all I do is look at the letters. I don't try to figure out what word they're spelling. I keep myself very open, so I'm very open channel. And I just write the letters, and then when they are finished communicating with me, I will end the session. I will say a prayer and thank them for coming, and then I will go back and I would read the message. And most time the messages I say are pretty deep. They've came through many times with things. I would say things that happen on the earth, catastrophes. They've also mentioned before. There's a couple that I've trusted myself in the past to put on Facebook, but I don't want to put anything alarming on Facebook or any social network that will cause fear to another person. You know, you don't want to use your spiritual abilities to cause fear to other people, because it's for me, it's very ethical to just keep everything in a type of vibration that people are not fearful of what you do, so that they can always keep an open mind of, maybe this has happened, maybe this didn't really happen, but just keep an open mind about things. So I try to cause fear, but I have a lot of writings from my group of beings that come to me through the board. I've taught the board. In a class 2 years ago. I did teach a board in a class two years ago. I taught some people in England and Germany and the States. And Canada, I had a couple of people from Canada also that participated in the class. So I taught them how to go about using the board. And I would say that everyone gave me positive reviews about it, and they also have positive feedback of what's going on with them when they're using the board. I have a mother that's using the board with her teenage daughter. They're getting beautiful messages from the family, beautiful messages from the spirit world. So everybody's different. I think with the vibration, it's all about the vibration. I wouldn't want to use the board if I'm in a bad mood. Let's say if I'm in a bad mood or something happened at work or something. I'm not going to go on the board and just say, okay, I want to come now and say my prayer, because my vibration is still not really in that positive vibration to use the board. You don't really need a board. You can use a piece of paper, cardboard paper, and write the letters on there. I can use my laptop and the keyboard on my laptop and make a little small, tiny planchette and go across the planchette, and the spirits will still communicate with me. They will still communicate with me. So it's always about, when I tell people if they're going to use a board, you try to get the spirit that's communicating with you to leave some type of symbol, some type of signature. Every spirit that you communicate with should leave some type of signature when they are around. So if I'm on the board and I know that one of the guys that come through, his name is Billy, he's an Indian. If he comes through and I'm feeling the energy is a little bit different, or the board is moving and the letters around the planchette, very vigorously and very sharp the way it's moving, I know that that's not him, that that's probably another spirit that's coming through the board, and someone's probably coming through, a joy spirit, a spirit that just want to come through to have fun. I mean, I've had 4 spirits that have came through. They didn't really use proper language, I would say, when they came through. And I would just ask them to leave my board. So I would just break the contact and leave the board. I mean, they use also abbreviations like LOL, HAHA. They use also these type of abbreviations when they're communicating with us on the board, because for me, they're spirit people that are coming through. So it's just, I think, approaching the board with no fear, It's no more fear than me walking out on the street, maybe at 2:00 in the morning, someplace on a abandoned road. And I think I would be more fearful there than actually being fearful working with the spirit world.
Well, so, then you have cleared that for a lot of people, I think.
Yes. I did a video a couple of months ago on my page to explain spirit boards, because a lot of people have so much fear. And then, of course, we have, Hollywood. Hollywood's going to come in with the fear of the board, and they have the movie starts looking in the planchette and they're seeing something crossing over the screen. You know how many times I sat there in the dark with the planchette up to my eye and asked the spirits, come and show me? Nobody came. Nobody came, because that's not the way the spirit world works. They're not here to frighten me with the board. I've taken the boards before to a cemetery. Nothing dramatic happened. I didn't bring anything home. Nothing was attached to me. In fact, most time it didn't even work in the cemetery, because I think the spirit world probably wondered, why are you taking this to the cemetery? The spirits aren't there in the cemetery anymore. They're already crossed over. So why would we even try to communicate with you, in this type of environment? So no, the spirit boards, I think it's okay to use them. I think it's okay if you don't go in with fear. They're not made for children. Shouldn't go. I did it. I snuck behind my parents' back and used it, but I'm kind of glad that I did, because I use it. My grandmother comes through, and one of my grandmothers, my great, is very religious. I mean, they're Pentecostal ministers, and they came through my board many times. They didn't like it first coming through my board, but then eventually they got used and said, okay, they can come through my board also and communicate with me also. I think it's okay for teenagers maybe to use the board if they're working maybe with an adult that is able to understand, I would say, the art of praying and bringing up the vibrations, because sometimes you have those spirits across on the other side. They want to come through and play jokes on us. And see, I think for children and teenagers, they're very open. Their chakra energies are very, very awakened. And so they can pull in faster all the levels of energy from the spirit world, which maybe they can't really understand how to deal with this as me, 50, 51 years old. Okay, if a spirit coming in, he's saying something I don't like on the spirit board, I'm going to tell him to leave. So they
But
might
I
not
can
accept.
say a lot of older people as well, people who are old age, they are also, because they pull in a lot, don't they?
Yes, yes, yes. They pulling a lot also. They pulling a lot also because I'm up, so I wake up at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So my brain is always working. I'm always working. Work, work, work. I'm always thinking. But the older we get, you don't really have that much. You're not that active. I would say 60, 70, 80. You might still do work, but you're not that active on the physical plane as maybe someone maybe in their late 20s or 30s or early 40s. So they come in, and I see that a lot with people when I walk down the street. I see that shimmering light that will glow beside them. I'm like, oh, they have a father there beside them, or a mother there beside them. Sometimes I'll get a name that'll come through, and sometimes I don't always walk up to them. It's only if I see that they greet me with a smile, then I know, okay, this person is open, because you can also feel a person's energy to know whether or not they're open to something like this or not. But yes, I see it around a lot of older people too. And maybe they might not understand, everything about the spirit world, because I would say I've taught before people, or I would say I assisted many mediums before. I said, use a board at first. And what they did with the board is they learned how to open up for channeling, for automatic writing. And then they started hearing the words in their head while using the board. They would hear the words and see the words. So they knew, okay, the channeling is already starting now with the board. Now I can let the board go. I can let go of the automatic writing. And now I can just do complete mediumship or trance and have the spirits already there. So I think it's a great tool to use if you're not afraid of it.
No. It was my candle here. It was starting to burn up here in the roof. But it's okay now.
Okay.
But then, Ardelia, you have talked a lot about yourself, and I'm happy. So I haven't need to say so much, because you do a lot of things, and you're easy to speak with.
Yes, I hope you were able to understand me. I didn't talk too fast.
No.
A tendency of talking, and then because you have to figure I'm at home all day by myself, and because I work from home, so it's not really like I'm talking to really anyone other than answering the phone or writing emails. It's different when everything's changed now. The way you work, you don't go into the office anymore. You're at home, so you don't really talk to anyone. So I talk when I do have a chance to talk, and I get so excited about the spirit work, because I just want to see more mediums like us and more light workers and people just go out and just reach out their hand and help people. And I would say, don't put so much strain on trying to learn. Find a mentor, learn their techniques, and then with their techniques, you add your little sugar and spice to with your techniques, with their techniques. But don't jump from mentor to teacher to teacher. Give the spirit world a chance. I want people to work with the techniques. And the main thing is sitting. You sit for meditation. I've had a lot of people that ask me, do you teach mediumship? I used to have a small group that I work with, but I didn't teach them like charging. It was just a group to show them how they can work with medium, how they can work with the spirit world and connect just like this. The only things that I teach is meditation. I think meditation is very important. Some people call it sitting in the power. Some people call it meditation. I used to also call it sitting in the power, but for me, it's still foundation is meditation. When you get the meditation down, then you learn how to blend with the spirit world. You learn how to feel when the spirit is around, blending in your chakras. I work a lot with the chakra energy, expanding the chakras. For me, I can't close the chakras. We can't open them, but we can expand them out from us, that we can allow them to come in. So you blend, and then trance, healing. And then from there, if you steadily sit with the spirit world, they will come and they will choose how they want to work with you. I do use tuning forks. I use tuning forks and singing bowls. I have a lot of singing bowls. I think I have over 25 singing bowls, but I use them for therapy. They actually lay on the person's body. And I have also a team, I would say a spirit team that will come and put that person into a deep trance laying on the table. And usually they're out within 4 or 5 minutes. They're completely gone. And I steadily work with them with the bowls and the forks, and I allow the spirits, their spirit guides, their spirit teams to work with them and take them into that deep trance where they can decide how they want to work with that person, what they need to clear away from that person's energy, because we are just the vessel, the channel. Spirit world does it all. Spirit world does it all. I always make sure that people understand that it's always the spirit world. I'm just a vessel. And I always also tell people to work with your ancestors. It's very important to work with your ancestors. I don't want to sit.
In what way do you mean?
Meditate, and I see a lot of people, which I never condone how people work. When you're sitting in meditation and you're trying to connect with your spirit guides, trying to connect with this certain spirit guide or this certain spirit guide, and you're expecting maybe a person to pop up in front of you in front of meditation and say, hello, I'm your spirit guide, I'm here. I always tell people to first ask your ancestors, your grandmothers, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, I don't want to, I tell people, you don't want to wait for them to come and pick you up and take you over to the pearly gates where you're in your last dying breath.
No.
They are there to help us now. So you ask for them now, and they are there to help us. They are there to help you. So you use your ancestors. I said use, doesn't sound right, but you bring them forward. You ask them to come and allow them to also be a part of your spirit team. And then they will go in and bring in other spirit guides that will help you out. And so it's always the ground base of meditation. I meditate sometimes. Now I meditate maybe 5 or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I can drop down. But most time I'll meditate I'll meditate an hour in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, and lunchtime after lunch, and another 1 or 2 hours at night where I go so deep that I don't know anything. But I train my spirit team to wake me up at a certain time. I said, wake me up at 1 hour and 18 minutes. So you practice with your spirit team. As long as you practice with your spirit team, because it's teamwork. It's always teamwork. And I always believe if you take your time to sit with them, for them, then they will come when you need them for reading or any other practice. And I think that's very important. I think people, sometimes I see in a lot of the spiritual communities, which I love them all, is, the spirit world doesn't want to come to me when I have a reading. The spirit world, I want to try this certain particular thing. The spirit world won't come to me. And I usually ask them, how often do you sit for the spirit world, to give them your time? It's very important to give them your time. Give them some of your time. If you give them some of your time every day, 15, 20, even 20 minutes, then when you need them to step forward and blame with you to give that person a reading or to do psychic work or do healing, then they are also going to come. It's always teamwork, but give them also the respect and give them some sitting time. And even
but
if
I was thinking, I can feel you already.
Yes. I taught a couple of classes the last couple of months. They went well. It was just that it was the time zone difference. It's playing the time zone. I had people in Canada, people in the States. I had a couple in Germany, and so I was up all times of night. I'm drinking 3 and 4 cups of coffee, trying to stay awake for different time zones. And then I figured, no, I can't do this anymore. So I take these last 2 months now, I just take a break. I still sit for the spirit world. I sit every day for the spirit world. Now I'm preparing myself more for, I would say I'm going into more of the physical mediumship side of it, because I have a loft upstairs. So I prepared that room for the seance room, where I have my trumpet, I have my drums, and I have all my toys, because the spirits, they do move them even in the daytime, but I want to create a small circle to help people just to understand the spirit world a little bit more. And for those that are living maybe close to me, they can come over and say, okay, let's sit for spirit and let's sing some songs and let's serve spirit and just have fun with spirit. But next year, I think next year's the public will see more of me.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely probably start doing a couple of maybe small events, maybe 6 to 7 people. It depends on how the restrictions are in the public. So always have to respect the people in the public and respect how they feel about different things that's going on right now. I always want to make sure I respect this. But I was thankful that when you show the love of spirit and you give them your time, they will never let you down. Just give them time. And it really, really works. And people have realized, wow, if I sit for spirit for 20 minutes a day, just sit, even if you don't want to go in meditation, you just sit in your chair, I tell people, and you tell the spirit world, I'm sitting here for you, and you can use some of my energy to take to the spirit world for healing. Because I'm a very big advocate in the spirit world, taking some of my love and energy back to the spirit world to help those spirits that also need healing. That's very important. It's always about, I think, sometimes giving more than you receive, but it's always about giving. You give as much as you can. You give as much as you can to the spirit world. Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, that is a good word to end this interview.
Yes.
Do you not think so?
Yes. I'm quite sure we'll see each other again. I'm quite sure we'll see each other again.
But for people who want to get in touch with you, I will put this video out and some clips when you do trance.
Yes, definitely. I do trance and red light. I'm still very old school about trance. I know there are some mediums that do trance. They can do trance in daytime. I can do trance in the daytime, but for me, I'm more connected at night. Usually, I'm one of those what you call night workers. After 12 o'clock at night is when I like to sit in the red light. So I'm not an early sleeper. My bedtime is usually about 3 o'clock in the morning because usually
I go up almost then.
Yes, so I sleep about 6 hours. I go to sleep at 3 o'clock at night in the morning, and I wake up around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I start work. So usually about night is really for me. It's always been since I was a child. Nighttime for me it's just mystical. It's just it's just mystical, and I love sitting in red light or in the dark at nighttime, and just letting the spirits just show me their love. So I will sing you some clips. I'll be happy to sing you some clips.
Yeah.
I will love to send you some clips to show the people. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Now I must pronounce your name correct. Ardelia Ince.
Ardelia Ince, yes.
Ince,
You can find me on Facebook. I've been creating a website for the last 2 years. It's there, but it's not published. And I keep telling myself I need to go on there and get this website published, this internet page published. I've moved some tabs off of it and can't get the tabs back on. I've just done some stuff, but right now they can reach me on Facebook. They can reach me on Facebook. I do have 2 pages. I have my mediumship page on Facebook where I go on and I do sound healings on there for the public. I have also my YouTube page where I put sound healings and different things about crystals and things like this, different types of modalities and healing that they can actually download the video if they want to. And then I have, of course, the Tarot Oracle page where I have on there, that's the business page, where I have on there where people can actually contact me. But they contact me and send me a message. They will get a reply very fast. It's not a problem. I'm very, very open.
Yeah, you're awake all night.
I'm awake a lot. I'm awake. I'm a drink. I drink a lot of water, a lot of coffee. I probably need to slow down with the coffee. But I'm 5 hours of sleep, no more than 6 hours of sleep for me. It's enough. If I sleep 8 hours of sleep, then I usually have a headache. And I can work better with the spiritual, with my spiritual work when I haven't been sleeping the night before a lot. So that's for me. My mind is somehow calm. And you can feel the spirits when they touch you and they tap you, or you can see them walk past, and it's just beautiful. So I'm in the daytime with my regular work, the physical work, and then the evening time, when evening comes, I'm all for spirit.
Well, thank you so much, Ardelia.
It's been a pleasure talking with you, even though you didn't really ask any questions, and you have beautiful energy. You have beautiful energy, and it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you very much.
We'll have to thank Jonathan.
Yes, you have to thank Jonathan because he's always recommending people to come to me. And I'm thinking like they'll write me a message and they'll tell me, Jonathan told me, and I'm like, who are you? Oh my God, Jonathan actually told you this. So yeah, Jonathan keeps me on my toes. He keeps me on my toes. And I'm so blessed and so thankful that Elaine recommended that you talk with me, that I can at least get more out to the world to let them know that working for spirit, don't be ashamed, don't walk in fear. For me, walk in the spirit and the light of God, and just let God just guide you on your path.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah. Well, I'm wishing you a lovely Christmas. It's not so far to Christmas.
No, it's not so far for Christmas. I have 3 days after this. I have my birthday. I'm on the 28th of December. So I'm still considered a Christmas baby. And wait.
I've been married. We're going abroad. So we've been married 20 years on your birthday.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Congratulations also. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Take care.
Take care and God bless. Thank you. And send also blessings to all your viewers and good luck with your show.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.